Hi everyone, my name's Andy Stead. I'm a personal trainer based in Wickford. This is my private studio and I'm going to be delivering a session for you today based around using bands and kettlebells. So I assume that you've all got bands and kettlebells, hence why you're here watching this video. Two good pieces of equipment because they don't take up a lot of room and they're quite versatile. However, you might not have seen some exercises before that you can do with these pieces of equipment. So that's why I'm here today, to give you a little bit of guidance, a little bit of coaching around those two pieces of kit and a few different movements that you can do with them. Okay, so you may have seen these movements before, you may have not, you may have tried them but not quite got them right, and hopefully what we're going to do today is just going to push on your workouts to that next level, whether that makes them more intense or more effective or easier for you or pain-free. But two good pieces of kit that sometimes can be used badly, let's say. So we'll go through a little warm-up before we start. We've got 7 movements to do today and a little cool down, okay? So for a warm-up, all we're going to do is jog on the spot. So we're just picking our feet up off the floor a little bit. We're going to jog on the spot here for about a minute. And this is just purely to raise the heart rate, to increase temperature in the body, and just to get you moving, really, all right? So while we're jogging on the spot, I'll just explain a couple of things that we're going to do for the workout. So in a moment, once we finish this, we're going to do another little preparation move just to get the intensity up a little bit. And then we're going to go into working with some bands. And we've got 3 movements to do with bands. I've got 3 different types of bands that I'll show you some variations on. Whichever band you've got, they will work for either of any of those, okay? Then we've got 4 kettlebell movements to do. If you've watched any of my other videos, you may recognize some of the movements from those videos, but in those other videos we used dumbbells. Today we're going to be using kettlebells, and there's a couple of subtle differences to some of the movements, okay? So hopefully that'll clear up some of that confusion that you may have had in the past. Okay, so we're nearly there for about a minute. You know, a minute or so is good for this type of workout. Maybe 2 if you're really feeling super energetic. Maybe for the last 10 seconds, we can just pick our knees up just a little bit. So knees up, good. You can get your arms moving if you want. Excellent. Okay, and relax. Good job. Okay, so you should have felt your heart rate come up a little bit. Body temperature maybe warming up a bit. We're going to do 3 quick rounds of jumping jacks or star jumps. Okay, so we don't need to go crazy. We don't need to jump miles in the air. We just want to do little jumping jacks like this. Okay, so we're going to do 3 rounds of 10 reps just to get the heart rate up. We want nice, fast movements, arms and legs together. You ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lovely. Just relax. 10, 15 seconds. Recovery time, so we don't need a great deal. You should have felt the heart rate go up, all right, which is good, which is what we want. A couple of nice big breaths down into the belly. Here we go again. 10 reps. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10. Lovely. Relax again. 10, 15 seconds rest, just to get a few big breaths in. Try and breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay. Good job. You ready? One more round. 10 jacks. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lovely. So we should be warmed up a little bit now. If there's any specific stretches, do those now. You might want to do some arm bars. Might want to just move your arms about a little bit, or maybe get some more stretches in on your lower body. You can do those while I'm just explaining the first little section, okay? So we're going to work with bands to start with. So hopefully you've got your bands handy. Now I'm just going to quickly show you the 3 different variations of bands that I've got. So we've got these small looped bands that you might find, okay? These are good. Yeah, again, they're all versatile. They all pretty much can do the same things. But these small looped bands, you may have seen these given to you by a physio or something like that along those lines for recovery, but they can certainly be used as resistance, for resistance training. You may have seen or have this type of band, which is more of a yoga type band, yeah? But again, they can give you some resistance to use. All right, and with the sort of straight nature of them, you can, you know, hook them around things, and you've got two ends, yeah, which is quite useful sometimes. Or you may have seen these types of resistance bands. So it's a big loop. This is a thick rubber band. Yeah, you may have these types of bands with different thicknesses. Yeah, again, strong, versatile bands. You've got more resistance within these ones. Yeah. So we're going to start with an exercise. I'm going to use the little band for this one. Okay, but we're going to start with an exercise called a banded pull apart. Okay, now this, in my opinion, should be done by everybody who sits at a desk at least every other day, if not every day. It's a really good exercise to keep the muscles in the back, upper back especially, working properly and activated. As we sit down on a desk, we can a chair, whether it's, or maybe we're a driver, maybe we drive a lot for a living, taxi driver, delivery driver, that kind of thing. And we sit down and we get into this kind of what we call forward head syndrome, yeah, or forward head position. And our head is kind of hanging off of our shoulders, and all these muscles here, we create a lot of tension here. What we actually want to do is get our posture so that we're here and standing tall, yeah? But we need to shorten these muscles. Everyone thinks we need to stretch these, which is not wrong. Sometimes they can be tight, but we need to shorten these. We need to get them contracted a little bit more to bring our head from here, where they're lengthened, to here, where their muscles are shortened, yeah? So we actually need to gain strength in these muscles in the upper back. So that's what we're going to do with our banded pull aparts. I'm going to show you with a small band first. You can see I've looped my hands through the band, yeah? So that's just how I like to hold it. You might like to hold it differently. You might like to, you know, hang, you know, get it in your hands, in your fists. It's up to you. And all I'm going to do with this band is I'm going to keep my palms facing each other. Yeah, you can see this position that I'm in. And I'm going to pull it apart and pull it back. Yeah, so I'm pulling it apart, pulling it back. So I can see that. You see that for the side? Pulling apart and pulling back. Yeah, so pulling apart and pulling it back. So what I'm trying to do is get a squeeze in these upper back muscles, okay? So that's what I'm looking at, the upper back muscles, the base of the neck, yeah, back to the shoulders, all of the area in your upper back, all right? So I'm going to use this. We're going to work together for this first set. We're going to do 10 repetitions, and then we're going to have a think about how that went and move on, all right? So I'll do a couple front on and do a couple side on, okay? So I'm going to get a bit of resistance on my band, and I'm going to pull it apart, and then back. 1. So apart and back. 2. Good. Apart and back. Good stuff. So pull them apart, pull it back. Try and keep those shoulders back and down. You see, I'm not letting my shoulders hunch up like this. Shoulders back and down. Good. So we're at about 4. Pulling back. Excellent. I'll go side on for the next half. Good. 6. So apart, move back. 7. Apart, move back. Last couple. 1 more. Fantastic. Good job. So hopefully if you did those right, you'll feel a little bit of, you know, work being done in the upper back, back to the arms, back to the shoulders maybe, yeah? That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming to keep a good tall posture as well while we're doing this. We don't want to end up slouching over and hunching our shoulders, okay? Good tall posture. So I'm going to use the yoga type band for this exercise next, just to show that it can be done with any band. All right, so I'm going to do exactly the same exercise, but I'm just going to do it with a different type of band. So all I'm going to do for this one is, you see, I'm just going to loop the band around my hands, and now I'm holding on to it here in my fists, yeah? Same exercise, same target muscles, same execution, yeah? Different band. You ready? So get some tension on the band, pull it apart and back. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll turn side on. 6, 7, 8. Good. Squeezing those shoulders together. 10. Lovely. All right. So hopefully by now you certainly can feel those upper back muscles working. If you can't, not to worry. We'll keep working on it. I would suggest that maybe it's your posture. You might be slouching. You might not be pulling your shoulders back. It might just be you might just be working with your arms. Yes, we need to pull our shoulders back. Shoulders back is what gets our muscles in our back to work. Yeah. I'm going to show you one more time with the big band here. Yeah, the big looped band. So this one is a lot higher in resistance than the two that I've used before. So I'm going to have a wider grip on this band. Okay. So consider that if you've only got one band. The wider the grip, yeah, the easier it'll be, regardless of what band it is. And you can come in, yeah, make it a narrow grip, and that's going to be a lot more difficult. All right, so one last set, 10 repetitions. I'm holding a nice wide grip, pull apart, shoulders back and down, tall posture, and then I'm going to pull my shoulders back and squeeze together. 1, 2, 3, 4, squeeze them shoulders together at the back. 5, next half side on. 10, fantastic, good job. These movements can be done in a slightly different variation if you've got a way to anchor your band up high, yeah, so you might have a loop or maybe a bar, or you might even have one of these, which is a door anchor for bands. It's got a little loop in one end, see that? And then this piece goes through the other side of the door, okay? But if you've got one of those, then you might be able to anchor the band up high, and then with the band, you can pull it towards you. So it's the same exercise, but we're anchoring the band rather than holding the band ourselves, okay? So same exercise, but executed in a slightly different way. Good job. So there are banded pull-aparts, okay? Another exercise you can do with bands quite easily is banded bicep curls, okay? So these big looped bands are best to do this with, but you can do them with the other bands. I will show you how in a moment, but I'm going to start with this big loop band. So if I step back so you can see my feet, we're going to start by standing on the band. We're going to get inside the band, okay? So I'm standing on the band, yeah, it's securely under my feet. All I'm going to do is do bicep curls with the band, yeah? So I'm just going to keep my elbows nice and tight to my body, and then I'm going to curl up and down, yeah? So just like you would do normal bicep curls if you was holding dumbbells, yeah? Okay, so we're doing sets of 10. You ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 5, lovely. Let's turn side on for you, so you can see me side up. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Lovely. Okay, so was that difficult enough for you? Was that too easy? Was it too hard? Again, if you can change the resistance on your band, that's great. If it was too easy, yeah, what you can do is move your feet further apart. Yeah, because that will get a bit more resistance in the band, and it'll make it a little bit harder, yeah? If it was too hard, bring your feet closer together, hold the band a little bit closer together in here, and that makes it a little bit easier, okay? We can do another set, and I'll tell you what, we'll show you with a different band. So you might now only have one of these small bands, yeah? Now, I'd suggest making sure that we've got a band that's warm. These things can be liable to snap if they're cold, all right? So don't all laugh at me if that's what happens in a moment. But we can do bicep curls with these small bands. You might need to just shorten the distance that you're going to curl. So you might need to go into a kneeled or a half kneeling position, yeah? Because if you stretch these bands too much, they might not like it. So if you go into a half kneeling position, you can rest your elbow on your knee, and then you can curl with the band, yeah? So it's like a preacher curl position, all right? You don't have to rest your hand on the knee if you want. You can go to the side, and then we can curl up, yeah? But it just shortens that distance that the band's got to be stretched over, all right? So we're going to do 10 on each side using one of these small bands. If you've only got one big band and you want to do 10, you can. If you want to do 20, you can. Keep up with us. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, excellent. 5, 6, looking good. 7, 8, 9, 10, fantastic. So I'll just quickly swap over. I'll swap legs as well, makes it more comfortable for me. Just step on the band, in there. 1, 2, good stuff. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fantastic. Hopefully you can see, as long as you get the movement correct, doesn't matter what implement you're using, doesn't matter what band you're using. You could be using a band, you could be using a dumbbell, you could be using a different variety of band. If you get the movement correct, you can work any muscle. All right? One last movement, we're going to look at a banded deadlift. These ones are quite fun. All right? So what we're going to need to do for these ones is lay our band out on the floor and stand on our band double looped over. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab both sides of our band and stand up nice and tall. So you should feel the band pulling you down to the ground. That's what we want. We want the band to pull us down to the ground. Okay, I'm just going to move side on so you can see my position. Now, we spoke about this in our lower body workout. If you've seen the lower body workout video with myself, we spoke about our hinge from the hips. That's exactly what we're going to do with this movement. We're going to hinge from the hips. So we're going to have our hands just in front of our body, and then we're going to let the bands pull us down to the floor with a hinge movement from the hips. Can you see that? And then we're going to drive up. Okay, so pull down to the floor, drive up. So I'm pushing my hips backwards and then hips forwards. Okay, hips backwards, hips forwards. Okay, we're going to do 10 repetitions. You ready? Hips back. 1, 2. Hips forwards. Forwards, good. Hips back. Hips forwards. Excellent, looking good. 7, good. Hips back. Hips forwards. Good. And 10, fantastic. So that's a banded deadlift with a big looped band. Okay, so that's with your big looped band. You would have found that maybe challenging on the grip, but what we're looking for predominantly is a stretch down the back of the legs and then to use our bum muscles to drive our hips forwards. Okay, that's what we're looking for, as our main driver in that movement. Ready to go again, band on the floor. Step onto the band. Band in each hand. Make sure you've got an even stance. And remember, as we said before, if it's too easy for you, maybe step your feet out a little bit wider. Okay, so we've got a little bit more resistance on the band. That should make it a little bit tougher. Hands in front, 10 reps. Let's go. Drive forward. Drive forward. So keeping that back straight the whole time. So we're just shooting our hips backwards, driving our hips forwards. Good, so stretch on the back of the legs, bum forwards. Excellent. 8, bum backwards. 9, good job. And 10. Fantastic. So we're going to look at this movement again in a moment with our kettlebells. You may have seen the Kettlebell Swing, which is a hinge movement. We'll talk about that a little bit as well in a moment, okay? Big movement, deadlift, a movement that everybody should be doing, but a movement that lots of people get wrong, okay? So take your time with this one. Maybe go and have a look at the video that I did for the lower body, where we spoke about the hinge movement in a little bit more detail, okay? One more set on this band. So, again, I'm going to stand a little bit wider still, to make it even harder for myself. Grab the band, stand up tall, hands in front, 10 repetitions, let's go. Drive forwards. 2, 3, good, bum back, bum through. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, good, bum back. 9, bum back. and bump through, 10. Good job, fantastic. So there are millions of exercises you can do with bands, but we'd be here all day. So we're going to move on from our bands now, and we're going to look at using a kettlebell. So another piece of kit that you might have had sitting about that you might not have understood exactly how we can use. So there's lots of different movements we can do with the kettlebell. We're going to look at 4 main movements, and it will cover the 4 main movement patterns. So squatting, hinging, pushing, and pulling. Okay, there are 4 main patterns that we do when we exercise. So I'm going to use one 8-kilo kettlebell. You might have lots of different size kettlebells. Again, if you've got a selection, use a selection as we go on. Okay, there's many ways you can hold a kettlebell when you use it, and depending on the exercise will dictate how you hold the kettlebell, I guess. All right, so we're going to start with a kettlebell squat. All right, so quite simply, you can hold the kettlebell up high, up here if you want, this way up. You can hold it side on. Some people hold it upside down. Some people like to hold it down here. Yeah, when I do a kettlebell squat, I hold them up here, nice and close to my body. And all I'm looking to do is keep my knees in line with my toes. So I don't want my knees coming inwards as I go down. Yeah, and I'm just going to sit down into a squat and drive back out again, keeping my heels on the floor. So keep kettlebell nice and close, elbows nice and close, everything's tucked. Yeah, we're going to do 10 repetitions. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Beautiful. So I'll put my kettlebell down for a moment. So again, you may have noticed if you've only got one kettlebell, yeah, that 10 repetitions isn't enough. I'm going to give you a chance in a moment to go off and do a set on your own. So you might want to add repetitions if you have only got one kettlebell. You might only have one kettlebell that's really, really heavy. And actually 10 repetitions is too much, and you can't do 10 with decent form. So maybe when you get that opportunity in a moment, you can do maybe 5, 6, 7, or 8 reps. Okay, but I'll leave that down to you to decide when you get that opportunity in a second. One more set with me. Kettlebell up, get it into a comfortable position. Again, I'm holding it close to my chest. Get my feet in place. Check all those things off my list. 10 reps, let's go. 1, good. Good, keeping my heels on the floor. Good. 8, 9, and 10. Fantastic. Okay. So as I said, if you've only got one kettlebell and it's heavy or light and you'd like to add or take away reps, this is your opportunity to go and do that. I'd like you to go and do a set on your own. Okay, so you can make this as hard or as difficult as you like. I'm going to give you a moment. So if you want to pause the video, go off and do your set, come straight back. Good luck. Welcome back. Hopefully that set of squats went well for you, no matter what you chose to do. There's one more variation of a kettlebell squat that I'd like to just preview for you. It's not for everybody, yeah, but if you're competent with a squat and a kettlebell squat and you feel strong, you'd like to add some intensity, especially if you've only got one light dumbbell, one light kettlebell, and you don't want to do 50 squats in a row, you could do a kettlebell jump squat. All right, it's quite an advanced movement. I don't like showing people how to jump around too much because sometimes it can hurt people's knees. But if you hold the kettlebell down here in between your legs, get your feet into a squat position. We're going to go down into a squat, and as we hit the bottom, we're going to jump out. All right. Okay, so that's a kettlebell jump squat. We need to be careful that we jump and land with our feet in the same place, or pretty much the same place. We don't want to be jumping and having our feet landing in an odd position, and worse still, we don't want to jump and let our knees cave in. Yeah, so if either of those two things are happening, you might not be ready to do kettlebell jump squats. You might want to go back and do more kettlebell squats to build up the strength in your legs and your core before you start jumping with it. Okay, but just a preview for you. Okay, so We're going to look at a movement now that you've probably seen done before. Whether it's been done correctly before or not, who knows? It's a kettlebell swing. So in a similar way to when we did the banded deadlifts a moment ago, we're going to hinge from the hips. Okay, so that's what this movement is. It's a hinge from the hips. It's not bending the knees, it's a hinge from the hips. Okay, now if you are not proficient at that hinge from the hips, so if you cannot do this and keep a nice straight back, yeah, so if we're doing a hinge from the hips and we're leaning forward like this, bending our back, this might not be the best movement for you. Okay, so if that is the case for you, I'd like you to practice while we're doing these repetitions in a moment of swings. I'd like you to practice your hinge from the hips. Okay, but if you are proficient at hinging, at deadlifting with a kettlebell, you can go on to swinging a kettlebell. Okay, so it is now just a ballistic hinge. So we're now adding speed to our hinge, and we're going to fire this kettlebell up, yeah, using our hips. All right, so it looks a little bit like this. Okay, so I'm firing the kettlebell up using my hips. I'm not letting it go all the way up here. That's out of control. It just needs to come up to sort of chest height, chin height. I'm keeping my armpits tucked. Yeah, there's a slight bend in my knees, but mainly this movement is coming from my hips. All right, it's coming from here, and I'm hinging back and driving forwards. Okay, now, please be careful with this movement, because the last thing you want to see happen is this, where you drive the kettlebell up and it comes down and we bend our back. Okay, that is not a good place to be in. That's injury town. Okay, so if that's happening, step back, practice the deadlift. Okay, the controlled movement first. Then we can go into the ballistic, powerful movement. But if you're good for kettlebell swings, we are going to do 3 sets of 12 swings. We're going to do 12 rather than 10 because it takes a couple to get into the swing a bit, literally. All right, so we're going to do 12 swings. Are you ready? You're going to swing with me. All right. So I'm going to pop it up with one leg. That's how I get my swing started. You might get your swing started in a different way, but that's how I prefer to do it. So are you ready? Let's do this. 1, 2, good. 3, power through the hips. 4, 5, keep the armpits down. 7, 8, back straight. 10, good. 11, 12. Fantastic. Well done. Good set. So, were we keeping our back straight? Were we powering through our hips? Were we hinging rather than squatting? See, a lot of people doing a kettlebell swing that looks like this. Yeah, that's not really the idea of a kettlebell swing. It needs to be a little bit more hingy than that, a little bit more in the hamstrings than in the quads, okay? We want that kettlebell going in a nice C motion, yeah? The trajectory of the kettlebell needs to be a C rather than a J and drop, okay? One more set of 12 to do with me, and then you can go off and do a set on your own, okay? So kettlebell up, get your feet in place. You ready? 12 swings, let's go. 1, 2, hinge back, drive through. 4, 5, good. Drive through. 6, 7, 8, stretch on the back of the legs. Tight bar at the top. 11, one more. 12. Well done. Great job. Okay. I'm going to give you a chance to go away and do a set on your own now, okay? So again, if you've only got one kettlebell and it's really heavy or really light and you want to add or take away reps, that's down to you. But in your own time, let's go and do a set. So pause the video, come straight back. Good luck. Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that set of kettlebell swings. It's a great movement. It really is a great movement if you do it properly. Okay, but if you do it badly, it really can cause sort of all sorts of injuries that you don't want to be having to deal with. Okay, so if it is something that causes you grief and a bit of pain, especially in the lower back, you might feel it. Okay, it might be best to step back a little bit, practice that hinge from the hips first. Excellent job, let's move on. So, 2 more movements to go using our kettlebells. We're going to do both upper body movements. We're doing a push and a pull. First one is going to be a pull, all right? So, you may want to lean on something here, but you don't have to. I've got a bench here that I could lean on if I wanted to, yeah? But I'm not going to, just in case you guys haven't. I'm going to show you how to do this without leaning on an item. So it's a kettlebell row, a single arm row. So we're going to step 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, as though we was going to do a lunge. And I'm just going to use this front leg here as a little bit of assistance from my hand. I'm not going to lean, I'm not going to put all my weight in my hand, but I do want to just put my hand somewhere. So I'm just going to rest it on my thigh there or my knee. Kettlebell's in my right arm at the moment, my back straight, yeah? You can see my back being straight. And all you're going to do is row up. 1, 2, yeah? I'm using my shoulder and I'm pulling it up and back rather than just using my arm and pulling my arm up here, yeah? So shoulders coming back, okay? Nice straight back, 10 reps on each side. Ready? So get in your position, lean slightly forward. Straight back, let's row. 1, 2, good. Shoulder back. Shoulder back. 5, good. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fantastic. Change feet, change arms. So again, same thing, same stance. Resting my hand on my leg and rowing up. Shoulder back. 2, 3, 4, keeping a nice straight back. Good, pulling the shoulder back. 9 and 10. Fantastic, well done, good job. So a kettlebell row is similar in pretty much every way to a dumbbell row. So if you have watched my other video on upper body dumbbell movements, check that one out and you should see some more hints and tips on how to execute the row, okay? That one was using a chair to stabilize yourself, okay, rather than your own leg. Again, there's no right or wrong, as long as we're keeping an eye straight back and we're pulling that shoulder back and using the muscles on our back, yeah, then we're good. One more set with me, I'll let you go and do 1 set on your own. Okay, so get your feet in place, kettlebell in your hand, resting your other hand on your knee, and let's row. 1, 2, good tempo, 3. Excellent. 6, pulling up, 8, shoulder back, 9, 10. Well done, good work. Changing legs, changing arms. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Kettlebell in hand, resting the other hand on my knee, straight back and row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great work, great work. Okay, again, I'm going to give you a chance to go off and do a set on your own. If you'd like to lean on a chair, your arm of your settee, or a bench if you've got one, that's great. You might be able to add more weight if you do it that way. Okay, so depending on the weights that you've got of kettlebell, I'd like to go and try a set of kettlebell rows on your own. So single arm rows. So you've got 2 sets to do, 1 on one arm, 1 on the other arm. Okay, pause the video, off you go, give it a go. Welcome back. Hopefully that set of rows went well for you on both sides. Yeah. So again, depending on the weight of the kettlebell, you might want to add or take away reps. If you've got a variety of kettlebell weights, then that's great. You can change reps because obviously you're going to squat more than you can row, I guess. And you're probably going to be able to row more than you're going to be able to do for our next exercise, which is a press. Okay. So we're going to press a single kettlebell overhead. All right. Now there's a few key things that we need to remember here. All right. So firstly, we're going to rack the kettlebell just like this. Okay, so I'll come over here so you can see. All right, so it's sitting in the palm of my hand here. All right, it's in this little triangle that I've created between my arm, my upper arm, and my forearm. So you can see it's sitting in there quite nicely. So it should be fairly comfortable in this position. I'm going to attempt to keep my body straight all the way through the middle, from my nose all the way through my belly button, all the way down in between my feet. I don't want to end up bending to the side like this, all right? So I'm just going to simply push straight up, all right? So I'm pushing straight up and then back down to that triangle position. Straight up, 2, 3, yeah? What we can do, if we get tired, we might have one arm stronger than the other, or we might only, again, have one weight of kettlebell, and it might be really, really hard to get one weight up, and we end up bending like this. I don't want you bending like that. What I'd rather see is what we call a dip and drive, okay? So we're gonna dip from the knees, and then drive everything up together. Back down, dip from the knees, drive everything up together, all right? So we're basically getting the legs to help start the movement off. So we take a little bit of weight out of the kettlebell and from our shoulders alone, and the legs help get the weight moving. All right, so we're going to do 10 reps on each side. Again, if you need to dip and drive, then please do. If you don't and you feel that you can do these without the dip and drive and nice and stable, then please do that. 10 reps on each side. You ready? Straight body, drive up. 1, good. 2, good. So you can see I'm staying nice and straight. I'm not leaning to one side. Good. 5, good. I'm not leaning back either. 6, so from the side. 7, I'm not doing this. Good. 2 more. 10, good job. Changing arms, so straight over into the other arm. Get your position, straight body, drive it up. 2, good. This is the tempo we want to repeat. 4, good. Notice it's not going out, it's going straight up. Drive it up. Good, straight body. Need to dip and drive, you can. And dip and drive. Great job, 10, excellent. Well done. So pushing overhead is fairly difficult. I'm not a huge fan of it for most people. Most people haven't got the range of motion to go overhead. They end up pushing out here and end up leaning backwards, and they can hurt their back. However, with a kettlebell, it's a little bit more forgiving, especially a single arm kettlebell movement. Yeah, it's a bit more forgiving than using a barbell and trying to push a barbell up above your head. So if you're going to push up above your head, this is a good implement to do it with. Okay, set 2. You ready? Okay, so you might be a little bit tired by now. If you need to dip and drive from the beginning, you can. If you don't, please stay nice and strict, as we call it. All right, nice and straight through the body. Let's press. Good. 2, 3. This tempo. 4. We don't want to be going any faster or slower than this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fantastic. Change arms. Last 10. 1, 2. Good. Straight body. 3, 4, 5. Good stuff. 7. Good. If you need to dip and drive. 8. Dip and drive. 9. Dip. Drive. Well done. Fantastic. Good job. So that was 2 sets with me. And again, as the other kettlebell movements today, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go off and do a set on your own. All right. So pause the video, a set of 10 on each side. Or of course, if you've only got that one kettlebell, you need to make it more or less challenging. Please adjust the amount of repetitions that you do. Off you go, give it a go on your own, come straight back. Welcome back. Hopefully that set of kettlebell overhead presses went well for you. What did you find? Did you find that the kettlebell that you chose was too light and you was doing 25, 30 reps? Yeah, or was the kettlebell that you had too heavy and you had to do that dip and drive? Yeah. Don't think that that's cheating. It's certainly not. It's a legitimate way of doing a kettlebell press, and it actually uses a bit more muscle in the body because you're now using your legs as well as just your shoulders. Okay, so listen, well done, great stuff. We're just going to do a couple of stretches now just to cool down from the workout that we've done. Nothing too intense. Again, if you've got your own stretch routine, please do that while we're finishing off. Okay, there's no right or wrong when it comes to stretching and cooling down. It's whatever works for you. All right, so I'm simply going to do a couple of arm bars. All right, so I'm just going to pull my arms across my body because I know I've used my shoulders a little bit today. Yeah, so it's just arm across my body, quite straightforward. Yeah, change arms. But well done today, guys. Yeah, we've had a full body workout using bands and kettlebells. Hopefully it's been more instructional than a workout in itself, but maybe this has given you the information to be able to go off and use those pieces of equipment that you've got in a workout that you design that's appropriate for you. And you can use the better techniques and better understanding of the movements and why you're doing them. Yeah. And that's the idea of these videos. They weren't necessarily designed to be a workout as such, but more instructional coaching videos. Hopefully you've enjoyed them. If you haven't caught the other two, it was me using dumbbells, doing upper and lower body workout. Last stretch, just going to do a little bit on the quads. So it's just a standard quad stretch, pulling my heel up to my bum, staying nice and straight, knees together. Yeah, should feel a stretch on the front of my leg there. All right, we're just going to hold these for 10, 15 seconds. Change your legs. Last one. All right. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Look out for my other videos and take care. Thanks very much.